Test, test. Hmm. All right, so hey guys, Bloodman Bobby here, and unfortunately, it's so weird. I don't know if there's something wrong in Mac OS or there's something causing a lot of speed bumps. But I started the discussion. It's telling me I don't have drop frames, yet for some reason these OBS is telling me it's using like over 50% of the CPU performance. If somebody has tips on how to deal with, OBS's bull, please let me know. And yeah, I've been trying to redial Gaby. Okay, now it's going down a bit, but I hope it stays that way. And once again, feel free to comment about how you feel about the first episode of Infinity Train. We're about to go over it just as soon as Gabby's able to. She actually said she's going to be watching it pretty close to when we'll be starting up this live discussion. So, we'll just hang tight, wait for her. Yeah. But if you have any comments or you want to share your own thoughts about the episode or even, other things like, anything about, what's been going on in my life or any of the other shows or games that I personally cover, please let me know. In other news, I've actually recorded, I'm actually opening up Activity Monitor if you're familiar with it on in Mac OS to see if like maybe I could find some way to turn down. Yeah, I don't know, it's weird. OBS, it usually like only takes up like 10 to 20% of the CPU power, but now it's telling me that it's using like literally over like 450%. I'm not even kidding. So I don't know, maybe this latest version uses like way more resources and it's not as efficient or something like that. I mean, like my encoding settings aren't any different. So, but let me know, if you're having any issues watching the stream down below in the comments. It really helped the last time when I had that Blood Moon Ball live discussion and you were all telling me that hey, it looks really choppy, and it gave me a chance to fix it. I hopefully won't have to leave the stream like last time, like, dear God. And I hope it doesn't go to that extremes, but yeah, so I don't know. Maybe, there's things on OBS's end they will have to figure out. And it's weird because last night I was trying to actually do a trailer discussion. Yeah, Gabby's actually messaging me. Yeah, Gabby said that she's still finishing up the episode. So yeah, she's actually been really busy. You might have noticed in the description I was saying that she's actually celebrating, her birthday tomorrow. So yeah. And so she's actually been busy. We actually talked about, doing this before, but I guess, her schedule got caught up. I actually asked her if she wanted to, bail out so that she'll have, so she won't have to rush, but she insisted on, joining in. So we'll just wait for her. We'll hang out. In other news, so I actually, going back to that Invader Zim Enter the Floor Bus discussion, the trailer discussion that I tried to film last night. What was I about to say? So what happened was I think something happened with the output file and that it became really, like sort of laggy. So yeah, because whenever I tried to play like, especially like the middle portion, the part of the trailer discussion where I go into my thoughts after checking out the teaser. Well, or well, that part starts to play super laggy for some reason in Premiere Pro. So I actually reconverted it to an HEVC file to see, maybe. I mean, I don't. I mean, not that I'm, was gonna get the benefits of, going over to the HEVC codec, but I was hoping that, maybe if I try reconverting the file, I can get across the corruption issues. I actually played the new file, the converted file in Premiere. I think it was actually last night, and it was playing smoothly, but it was getting late, so I had to hold it off. So hopefully I will get a chance, because I don't want to make this discussion like overly long or anything like that. So I could get a chance to finish the discussion, because this weekend I'm gonna be pretty light on videos because I'll actually be going on vacation, which is definitely really cool. But I wanted to get some content up so that you wouldn't be going a whole week with not anything from my channel. So yeah. So at this point we'll just wait for Gabby to finish up. We'll wait for her. Probably should have pointed this out before, but there will most certainly be spoilers in this discussion. We're not gonna hold back, so just keep that in mind. So, yeah. If anything, waiting, gives, I think it gives people a chance, to come here. So, maybe even give me a chance to figure out, what the hell is going on. Yeah. I don't know. It's really, really absurd that OBS is taking as many resources as it is. Like I'm really trying to figure out. I mean, Activity Monitor basically said that OBS is being the resource hog. So I just really don't know. I mean, I can't really change the settings, now that the stream has started. But yeah, I'm trying to get into. Yeah, not too much I could really do to try to improve it now. I could mainly change like the bitrate settings. Let's see if that actually changes something up. I'm kind of hoping against hope, but if I could do anything to make the stream, go a little smoother without making, without having to, make the video look like, it was filmed on like a VHS camcorder from 1995 or something like that. Not really. It might even be a case where I would probably have to, stop streaming and start again to see the differences. So, yeah. Yeah, did I actually mention that it's actually really hot here down in California? I'm sure, some people who went to San Diego Comic-Con got to kind of experience that, but yeah, I don't know. This part of the state, I kind of feel like it's turning into, it's almost like, it kind of feels like it's as hot as I always imagined Singapore would be. So yeah, nothing against Singapore, but I'm just saying, it's really hot, humid. It was actually kind of raining at my workplace like very early this morning, and it felt super humid. And when it was raining, I was just, yeah, it's just really crazy. I'm kind of surprised because I know, I will say, let me actually change something up. Yeah, I actually wanted to switch to my 5 gigahertz internet connection. I mean, just so that when Gabby does show up, I'll have to see if her side is going to become like a super choppy, jamboree. Hopefully that won't be the case. I switched to my faster internet router to see if that will resolve the issue. But once again, if you're, you just got here and you're checking and, you want to, say your thoughts on the first Infinity Train episode, go right ahead. Whether you liked it or not, well, please do say. I will say, I've said, I've gone on record before in my previous Infinity Train videos saying that, I wasn't like, I was interested in the series, but I wasn't like, ooh, super, super hyped, mainly because I thought maybe the advertising did a too good of a job of keeping some things secret. Like, it was to the point where it was hard for me to think, what is it about the show that, gets everyone hyped, aside from like the mystery aspect. And yeah, and my real quick thoughts on the very first episode is that it's definitely a really intriguing start, but I kind of felt my mind hasn't really changed compared to when I saw the trailers, and that I'm still interested, but I know there's some Infinity Train fans out there. Not to call them that, you have every right to be excited, but there's I know quite a few people, Gabby included, who are like, woo, and they're super excited, and I'm just like, I'll have to wait and see. So I'm very curious to see. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some really amazing twists. I do, appreciate that. Like I said in a previous video, I think part of the secret to Infinity Train is that while I'm not like uber hyped and jumping around in joy, well, maybe that's to its benefit in that the good stuff has yet to come. Like we may even get some good surprises. Even Gabby gave like a very interesting fan theory in a previous video that actually is kind of what's getting me into Infinity Train. Not that if the theory doesn't come true, I'm gonna like turn off Infinity Train and never see it again. But it's just I'm just saying that if that were the case, if their theory is true, and I think I'm gonna wait for her to show up to talk more in detail about it. But but it's still really interesting. So yeah. Communicating with sis. All right. I'm actually gonna go get some some food. Not that you want to watch me eat or anything like that. I know, it's not interesting to see, a derpy guy like me, eating food. But since I've got time, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go grab some food and come back and, you know, eat it. So I don't know. No, I guess this isn't really dinner in a show, but hey, if you're grabbing something to eat, I guess this is dinner in a show. Actually, Gabby's here. I'll actually bring her on after I get food. So I'm just gonna go grab some grub. I'll be right back. And please go ahead and don't be shy. Please post your thoughts on the first Infinity Train episode in the live discussion, and we'll get to them throughout the video. So alrighty, so I'll be back in a second. Hello, everybody. So I am back after getting some grub. Let me just plug my headphones in. We haven't seen too many people come by. Once again, please don't be shy. Let me know your thoughts on the very first episode of Infinity Train. Okay, so let's call Gabby and get this party started.
Hello.
All right. Hey, Gabby. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good here. I'm assuming the chat is doing good as well. Did you see the first episode of Infinity Train?
I just finished it a few minutes ago, and oh my god!
Yeah, you're
Oh my
impressed?
god! Huh?
You're impressed?
I I'm curious. I'm very curious as to how this is going to unravel.
Yeah, I think that's actually the key word for me too, in that, I'm curious myself. I mean, you know how I've been saying, I'm not like the most hype person for Infinity Train. Not that, I'm not interested at all, but I feel like, the advertising for Infinity Train was like so mysterious, it was even hard for me to figure, is it going to be something that I'm going to get into myself?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was really hard to tell what it was going to entail.
Yeah.
It was anybody's guess.
Mm-hmm.
What have you guys been discussing so far? Did I miss anything important?
No, not really. We were just basically, waiting for you to show up.
Uh, I'm sorry. For those who don't know, it's my birthday on Sunday, and we're having a little meetup tomorrow actually, in which I'm going to be playing the first episode for all my guests. So super pumped for that. So I was doing that all day, so I was only barely able to get to sit down and watch the episode like a few minutes ago. So I apologize for the wait.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool. I didn't want to rush you, Gabby, but it's good that you have gotten a chance to see the first episode, and yeah,
Oh
I'd
yeah.
definitely say we're really curious. So let's actually talk about the episode itself. So what did you think of, like? We'll start with, I guess we could start with like the sort of premise of the episode. Like, what did you think?
I thought it was well established.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they use the whole issue with uh, Tulip's parents having um, problems scheduling to kind of like explain how she ended up off in the middle of nowhere hopping onto a mysterious train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it actually starts quite dramatically. I was actually like really
It
surprised.
does.
Yeah.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to keep in mind this is going to be a mini series,
Yeah.
so the so far the pacing is just great because they have to really go quicker than one would typically want, just because they're going to have a set amount of time to tell their whole story.
Yeah, but for an 11-minute, show, it's actually really well paced. It kind of reminded me of like Steven Universe, just in terms of
Mm,
how it may not be like a whole bunch of but for they're able to get across quite a bit with what they have.
that and the time that they do use is very well used.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel like any time was really wasted.
Yeah, definitely. That's how I felt as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess and in terms of the characters, what did you think of? In this episode, it's mainly we see Tulip, a bit of her mother, her friend, and also we get introduced to One. We haven't come across Atticus just yet. But what did you
Just
think of the
yet.
characters?
I love One even more than when first saw the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
He's cute and he's funny. Ah, her parents. We only got to really see her mom, but they
Mm-hmm.
seem all right. I think with the parents and the friend, since they're not really going to be the basis of anything,
No, no.
there wasn't too much focus on them, which is perfectly fine. Um, do those creepy flying cockroach creatures count as characters?
I
Should we
guess.
even consider them? Cause
Well, they were
I don't
kind
know,
of.
man.
Well, they were kind of the antagonist. Like, well, I don't know about antagonist, but oh, they were, attacking, Tulip and One, like in the middle of the episode. And,
Cause those look like the stuff of nightmares.
mm-hmm. You know,
Those look like the stuff of nightmares.
mm-hmm. It's yeah. Well, I'm just coming out of a nightmare. Like, I saw the new Invader Zim into the Florpus teaser last night, and you know what I
Oh no,
dreamt
I
of?
haven't
You
seen
know
it
what
yet.
there's not much to it. It's just Zim and Gur cackling like while he's
Oh
on a toilet.
wow.
And for some reason, last night I had this dream where I was watching a movie in like the Aliens franchise, with the xenomorphs. Although for
Yeah,
some
the
reason it was
xenomorphs.
taking on Earth. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. But yeah, it's really crazy. Like, these cockroaches, but they have like, the legs of like dogs underneath.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's like, oh, okay, they're just creepy, crawly cockroaches. They're not gonna do anything. And
hmm
then you remember cockroaches can fly, and you're like, oh no, oh no.
one aspect of Animal Crossing I don't want to remember. But yes, that's technically true.
Yeah, it's like, oh, their paws are so cute, but the rest of them is just no,
Yeah, no, I don't know. I thought,
no.
everything from the design to just how they were very shadowy figures, just, like you said, the stuff of
No,
nightmares. It was
stuff
about
of
as pleasant
nightmares.
as it was about as pleasant as the tripods from Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. But
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I needed a moment there, and then I remembered. Oh, those are creepy.
yeah. But
Oh,
what did you personally think of like Tulip as a character so far with what they said? Like, I'd say they do a good job establishing like her background, but what did you think of like her
very good
character?
development.
hmm
Very good development. I feel like even though we've just barely got to meet her, we already see how fluid she is,
hmm
emotionally, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think it's part of what kept me at least interested while watching because you already see that she's having a hard time
Yeah.
just getting along with nearly anyone. Because it's her friend, but she still gets upset with her a little bit.
hmm
Her parents, even when she meets one, she's like, okay, leave me alone, blah 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 blah.
hmm
Like I don't want you around. But it's like, okay. She slowly starts to ease off and like uh get along with one, and you're like, oh, okay, she's cool, and you see her like she's going places, she's changing, and she's learning as is almost what would seem a normal person.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
no, like I brought that up mainly because it's kind of interesting how when you look at like a lot of like mod cartoons in the current generation, and I guess it's kind of interesting to me because a lot of protagonists in like shows in the current generation are often really bubbly and really like happy-go-lucky kind of characters, but in the case of Tulip, we're starting off with a character that's kind of more frustrated, but you understand like where she's coming from with just things like how her parents are going through divorce, and how she there's a chance that she might not be able to go to that Oshkosh, the coding camp, which we'll get into. I know we talked about you brought up this really amazing theory the last time we had you on, and I really want to talk about that at some point in this discussion, but you want to actually like get into that right now while we're at it, because I feel like
oh my
there's
gosh.
obviously we could talk about the episode, but of course the engrossing thing about Infinity Train is the mystery behind it. So Gabby, would you like to explain, because honestly your theory is what is kind of grabbing me and getting me into watching Infinity Train.
Oh
Not that if
geez.
it's not that if it doesn't come true I'm going to be like, ugh, I wasted my time watching this show. It's just that Oh, that actually sounds like really interesting, and it may even be part of why a lot of people, are really, interested in this show. Like I know, the cosplayer Heather Kip, Red Velvet Cosplay, is also super super hyped. I know she even
Oh yeah,
cosplayed.
I've seen her cosplay. It's really
Yeah, she
cool.
cosplayed as Tulip at San Diego Comic Con, where they actually had like a train that is like dolled up to look like the Infinity Train, and
Yeah, and I think she got to like pose in front of it too, which was freaking awesome.
yeah, but anyway, you wanted to talk about the theory again, and you want to talk about it. If you think there's still a possibility that it could be true.
Okay, so if I'm trying to remember exactly what I said because I just kind of threw it out there more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But my idea being like this train is more or less possibly self-driven in a sense, in that like all the carts resemble either something that one of the campers themselves has made at their visit to Oshkosh.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically, each time someone new comes into the camp, another car comes along. So I'm wondering now if we're gonna have a car by the end of the special with uh with Tulip's game, bad guys, no, good guys popping bad guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the other aspect along with that is that the way uh, the whole camp is monitored is that the camp counselors are are looking at all the carts. Let's say at a building, a designated building,
Mm-hmm.
where they can see through cameras and whatnot what's going on in each one of the carts. And basically, like they're in control of all of the robots in there. They get to make sure everything's running well. And yeah, this is just basically how they decide what action's taken. And I'm kind of feeling like I've got something going on so far, just because like we have the whole thing in the first episode that we saw where there's this what seems to be another camper being
Sucked
pulled
by
into the
yeah, sucked
stream.
by a tornado and
Yeah,
basically
sucked into the
disintegrated.
stream of
Yeah,
light, and
just
Tulip just sees it and she's like,
and she's freaking out and screaming. Like
and
although to be fair,
I'm thinking now, instead of it being like the train itself is actually going around,
mm-hmm.
we're looking at something more along the lines of a virtual reality simulator.
You're thinking the train is more like a virtual reality
Like a
simulator. Yeah.
simulation, and each one
Mm-hmm.
of the carts is like programmed depending
Mm-hmm.
on like the person who comes into the camp. So I'm dead set that we're actually looking at the entirety of the camp right now from my speculations.
Whoa, so
And
you think that this train may actually be Oshkosh itself? It's not like, it's not even a thing where it's like, oh, before you get to Oshkosh, you must make your way through all these challenges.
yeah, no, I think we're looking at Oshkosh.
My god, dang.
So
So yeah.
dun dun dun.
Yeah, and I think what, also builds up with what you were saying, how it's kind of like virtual reality is, when Tulip, she doesn't just like, walk in the train and end up in that story place. She like goes through like a portal, right? Like,
Exactly. It looks like
mm-hmm,
a door was opened, and then like something turned on,
mm-hmm,
which again implying the possibility of virtual reality, which would explain how such a vast area could be monitored, because if it's just a simulation, there's not as much land in there as we see.
mm-hmm,
So a small group of people, like a group of counselors, would easily be able to control anything in that small space.
mm-hmm, yeah.
And we have the train kind of going in a circle, just keeping everything in the same thing, keeping the illusion of motion. But how would I say? It's like the person seems to be like, from their perspective, it looks like they're going to different areas.
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
So who knows? Maybe later, once Tulip comes out another one of the cars, the background outside may look different. That's what
Mhm.
I'm guessing, but we'll see.
Yeah. You know what I was actually thinking in terms of how this might actually run for video game logic? I almost kind of see, you know how in this episode we mainly see like the two cars that Tulip goes into is the one with the blocks and the one where she's in that snowy area?
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it, it's almost like a sort of like the beginning of this makes me sound really weird saying it, like a Pokemon game. It's almost like how, for instance, in Pokemon, have you actually played Pokemon before, Gabby? Unlike,
yeah, I've played Pearl
oh,
mainly.
you played Pokemon Pearl. Okay, I mainly have experience with like Pearl, Platinum, and Leaf Green. In fact, it's actually my copy of Leaf Green right over here for you Pokemon
Eh,
fans. But I was thinking it's almost like how in Pokemon you start off in like a town and it's usually where you get your first Pokemon. I know in Pokemon Pearl and
Right.
Platinum it's different, but like in Leaf Green, you start off in Pallet Town and you go to Professor Oak and get your Pokemon. And then it's when you go to the next stage, that's when you actually start, fighting wild Pokemon. I almost started
Right.
thinking, yeah, it's almost like, if you were to use that sort of logic with Infinity Train, if your theory is correct, these, Tulip starts off in this like really mysterious snowy place, and while there isn't like anything like really challenging about it, it's where she meets, One.
One
And yeah,
exactly, kind of like where you get to pick your own Pokemon, except you don't have a choice this time. It's just the robot. That's
hmm
it. You just get the robot.
a split personality robot who's either really optimistic or thinks that you're building your own coffin.
But is it me or am I noticing that the darker half of One
hmm
actually isn't even as dark as it was first implied to be?
I guess, although I still think that One kind of operates on that sort of split personality, like sort of
Oh, for
way,
sure.
like
Like there's definitely two personalities to it, but like even the dark personality has its like cheery moments. I'm like, oh, okay. You're not all doom and gloom. That's fine. Like
hmm
I can appreciate a few small instances of like cheeriness.
hmm get some levity in there, I suppose. And yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, back to what I was saying about comparing it to Pokemon, and then when she goes to that second train, obviously she's building things with blocks, but it's also where she has to fight the flying cockroaches. The flying cockroaches go in that
Ugh.
car, and she doesn't like really fight. She kind of takes more like sort of defensive measures. Like she traps
Yeah. She
that
just kind of
cockroach
like
in
walks
that
them off.
the sort of like while she builds with the blocks, right? Yeah. And yeah, and so I'm just thinking, okay, so that was a pretty, simple challenge to get her off. So do you think that it's just gonna get harder and harder from here? It's just gonna get more challenging
That's
from
what
here?
I'm thinking. That is like also, like we're seeing like a progression in difficulty as far as like what's in the carts goes.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, the first one there wasn't really anything to it besides they just straight up gave Tulip one.
Mm-hmm.
But then with the next cart, it was like a step up because now you're like, okay, we're gonna give you these blocks. You make whatever you want out of these blocks anywhere in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, now that's not to say that every single car after the one with the blocks is going to be like super challenging. Like we saw in the trailer, there was one where it's just filled with ducks, and in the pilot they had the
A
infamous fart
fart
car.
car.
It's just
A
I'm
fart
almost
car.
certain that's going to be in the final series. It's like how could you not like put that in the show, especially since didn't want the negative side of One in the pilot keep on saying, it might, the next place we might go might be a fart.
Yeah, like I bet it's going to be a fart car.
hmm Yeah. I mean,
Even in this first episode, he called it too. He's like, I bet it's going to be very disappointing.
hmm
He's like, called it, and then it's like, oh,
yeah. So yeah, it's probably gonna get more tricky from here. I know. Which ones did we see in the previous trailer? We saw there was like one car where there was like like a piano and Tulip sliding through the keys. There was the
yeah, that
duck
was like in
one.
the trailer.
hmm And
We've been
then
seeing that in the trailer.
yeah, and then there was like another with a dinosaur that looked like he was wearing Ash Ketchum's cap. Speaking of
Yeah, they
Pokemon,
were playing
yeah.
baseball or
Mhm.
t-ball because I don't remember if they had one of the stands or not. But
Mhm.
I don't know.
So yeah, I don't know if Owen Dennis is a Pokemon fan himself, but yeah, it looks a lot like
It's pretty
Ash's cat.
obvious that's supposed to be Ash Ketchum's hat.
Mhm. Yeah, so okay, it's probably gonna get more and more challenging from here. I know that 1-1. Hold on, back up for a second. I know Tulip asked 1-1. Do you know if there's a conductor on this train? And 1-1 is like, oh, I think we have one. And I know you were saying you think that it might just be like a self-powered train with like maybe the people who run
Yeah, and he
Oshkosh are kind
said
of
that's in the
looking.
engine,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and either they have like a programmed CPU conductor character.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that, or the engine. The engine car is actually the base, I guess you could say, and that's where they're looking at all of the other cards. So a little different than saying she's in a building or whatever. It's still the train itself, but there's a
Mm-hmm.
specific car where everyone's looking at what's going on.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I was kind of thinking maybe it's gonna be something. What if they're not even on like, well, if it's true and like, maybe this is Oshkosh itself. Like I was kind of thinking it was gonna be more like you were saying, where they're in like another building and they're like, spying on like Tulip and 1-1 using like cameras or something out of
Exactly,
Minority
like that's
Report.
still, I think that's still the case. In fact, that's kind of how I was imagining it to begin with, that train itself was going to be Oshkosh.
Mm-hmm.
So, we seem to be going in that direction,
Yeah, it does
and
kind
I'm
of.
really liking it.
Yep. It does make me wonder if this is the camp itself. I'm kind of wondering what does this have to do with like teaching Tulip how to code. Not that I want Infinity Train to turn into like a TV show that teaches you how to like program. It's like first of all, from my personal experience with computer science, just no. But I'm just like, what does this have to do with like or camp? I mean, if this is really Oshkosh itself.
Well, that's the thing, like, they might be expecting some of their campers, their new campers, to not have any knowledge of coding,
Mm-hmm.
because some kids will be like, "Oh, this is where I'm going to learn how to code."
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of like ease them in. They don't throw them straight up into coding right off the bat.
Yeah.
And as time passes by, they're introduced to new concepts of coding.
Which I could see, although from a narrative perspective, it just seems like the challenges for Tulip are going to just get harder and harder, like in terms of like her
Yeah,
having
and
an
then that's
adventure.
the other thing. Like, we got to keep in mind, focusing on something like coding and revolving a whole show or story around it. Not that it can't be done, though. A lot of liberties will probably be needed are probably needed, in order to make it all make sense. Because otherwise, you just have like a straight up documentary of like the history of coding and like how it happens, or like how it works, and then
Yeah, no.
no, that or it could be, instead of developing games through code, it's a camp where you develop yourself through games.
Well, oh, like developing yourself to become like a stronger, more independent person, that sort of thing.
Kind of. I could
Mm-hmm.
see that, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot more universal.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely would flow better as a story. Although it does kind of make me picture, like, imagine if it's true and that this is Oshkosh, and Tulip gets to the very end and she's all like frustrated, and she's like, what does this have to do with like coding? I think I learned more from that book that taught me. And like, do you think maybe someone will explain to her, you
It's
challenge
like, I
yourself.
learned more from the coding is cool guy and his book.
Mm-hmm.
Poor
So
man has a ferret on his face.
yeah, so I'm just so I'm thinking, maybe that's what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know. I'm just like thinking, like, is it a case
Like a
where
Karate Kid sort of thing.
I guess, although maybe, except maybe even more elaborate than the Karate. Like, I know what you're
Oh,
saying. Like, in terms of
of
like,
course.
it's kind of like,
Wax on.
yeah, wax on, wax off. It's like, oh, yeah,
It's
Daniel is
like,
like,
I
oh,
thought you
you're
were
gonna teach
gonna
me
teach
karate,
me
Mr. Miyagi,
karate.
and then Mr. Miyagi is like, watch my car.
Yes,
Yeah, I
exactly.
see. I see.
Oh, that's hilarious though. Oh.
I'm not sure why. I mean, a lot of people consider this movie really boring. I don't know why. I was getting like Page Master vibes for a second. Have you ever seen that movie?
From yeah, I've seen the Page Master
Mm-hmm.
with Macaulay Culkin,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, I do
Yeah.
remember, because I remember the ending scene, Culkin's character, he tells Christopher like, why did you put me through this? I nearly got killed. And,
Oh
Christopher,
yeah,
Lloyd, like, doesn't he,
that would
like,
make sense.
yeah, so I'm thinking maybe that's the idea. Because so far, at least going by this theory, it kind of feels like Infinity Train. It's like if you put Alice in Wonderland and I guess Tron, like, in a blender, I guess, if this
Yes,
is
it
right.
sounds like a really good description of it.
Mm-hmm. So,
Oh,
yeah.
it's like a more whimsical version of Tron, and then sprinkle in a tiny little bit of the Polar Express.
Yes, yes, yes. Actually, yeah, although in the Polar Express, I mean, yeah, it's a, fantasy movie. Although that being said, when they go from one car to another, it's not nearly as elaborate.
Well,
Like,
yeah, it's mainly just the fact that we have this train that just seems to come wherever it's convenient
mm-hmm.
out of nowhere.
Huh.
You
That
know.
actually sounds like a pretty good mix. I wonder what would happen if we actually met Owen Dennis in real life and we told him, is it like Tron meets Polar Express meets Alice in Wonderland?
I mean, it wouldn't be far off. It wouldn't be far off at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which,
Uh,
yeah, I really hope, we get the chance to meet, Owen Dennis and the crew one of these days. I mean, we've
that
met,
would be
the
awesome.
crew from, like, people from who worked on Star Wars: The Force of Evil and Infinity Train, and we definitely don't want to stop there. It would be nice to meet people from other shows. I know it would be cool if you got, it would be cool if you got to meet Rebecca Sugar, right, Gabby? And you almost, like, not to rub it in, but you almost did, right?
So close. I'm pretty sure I looked at her in the face and, like, oh, that's a cool person taking a photo.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, way back afterwards, I'm like, wait, what? Oh my God, I could have said hi. Like, dang it.
Yeah. It's just,
But I did get the great pleasure to meet, the man in charge of the movie, which was just absolutely amazing.
where'd you meet
You
him?
know, remember we saw him at WonderCon?
WonderCon? Like, wait, you didn't
Oh
go
yeah,
with
you
me to
weren't there. You
WonderCon?
weren't there. You weren't there. Remember,
No.
Darren was on one of the panels.
Mm-hmm.
In that same panel,
Oh, I see.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was the guy in charge
Mm-hmm.
of the Steven Universe movie, which looks absolutely amazing from the trailers, I have to say.
Mm-hmm. Don't
Very good
worry.
job. I'm super excited to see it.
Mm-hmm. Steven now has a neck, I've heard.
He has a neck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've actually, like I told you, Gabby, privately, I am, like, very slowly starting to finally get caught up on Steven Universe. The fourth season
That's
is on
good.
Hulu.
It's sad because, like, there was that whole chunk of time where a bunch of the episodes were, like, not really developing the plot too much.
Mm-hmm.
And enough people stopped watching for it to just be like, oh no, okay, the whole Steven Universe thing is done. And once everybody stopped watching, the crew is like, okay, now we get to go back and do all the plot development. And I'm like here, like, wait, no, guys, come back. It's getting better again, please.
Are you talking about the first season of Steven Universe?
Ooh, no, it was think it was the third season.
Really?
Remember where Steven was like, why are they doing so many filler episodes?
Huh, I thought that was more of a concern of the first season of Steven Universe.
No,
Oh.
it was like a small part in the third season where they just started to seem like they had this whole episode in revolving around Onion and his friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and around there, Steven was like, okay. And you would see like a bunch of people be like, yeah, I'm not watching Steven Universe that much anymore. Like, it's not that I didn't like it or anything, it's just like, eh. And I'm like, wait, guys, but the plot development, it's back, and it's going crazy. It's like, oh, okay, that's nice. And I'm like, wait, but you don't understand. It's actually going somewhere. Like, really going somewhere. Like, guys, this is a big deal.
So, yeah, but anyway, you know, all sounds pretty cool. I hope, you know, I don't know if I'll get caught up by the time, you know, the movie comes out in September, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have a decent amount of time. I don't know if you'll get completely caught up, but mostly caught up.
Well, you know, I'll have to, you know, see, because, you know, my life is absolutely unpredictable. But, you know, let's actually talk a bit about, like, you mentioned how, when I asked you how you felt that Infinity Train was going to be a miniseries, you said, makes perfect sense, right?
I find it really fitting. I would be worried if it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, not that it wouldn't work, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it would have to be taken in a completely different way if they wanted to make it like a full-on show. Like, to be able to have, like, the amount of flow and plot development that they have right now, judging from the first episode, I feel like they would probably need, like, a time, like, amount of time similar to that of like Stranger Things. Because Stranger Things is kind of like, it still has that whimsical aspect and whatnot, and you get a lot of like random stuff in it, but because of the amount of time it has, you get so much development in any given episode. And for something that's 11 minutes, if you make it too complex, not that you won't have a good show, but it's going to be really hard to maintain it. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen that more or less with Steven Universe because, you know, we have like this crew that can only do so much, and then they're given like this really elaborate story that's great. It's freaking amazing. I love it. But they're like, okay, now we have to do this. Now we have to do that. Now we have blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh wait, we can take a break now. Okay, let's take a break. Wait, just a little longer. Okay. Wait, no, now we have to go back to plot. And it's just like all over the place, which I'm perfectly fine with, but for something like Infinity Train and that kind of audience that they're going with, ooh, that would not be a good idea. That would not be a good idea at all. Because, you know, we have something similar to that to compare it to, like Over the Garden Wall. You know, because Over the Garden Wall, you get a similar feel. There's that sense of mystery. And, you know, you kind of have to see what goes through with the story, but you both with Infinity Train and Over the Garden Wall, we have a set goal, right?
Right.
Tulip has a short amount of time, a weekend or so, that she's going to be at summer camp. And from the looks at where she is right now, she has about 3 days to 2.5 days to get to the end of the train and figure out what the heck is going on.
Right.
Right. And that's like about a half of the amount of time span that they gave Over the Garden Wall, which probably took like about anywhere from like 4 days to like 5. Okay, so maybe not completely half, but you get my point. Like, that's still less time. And Over the Garden Wall was like 10 episodes, you know.
Right, kind of like Infinity Train.
Yeah, so it's like, for the kind of story they have, it's very limited. And even with something like Phineas and Ferb, because you could say, like, what about Phineas and Ferb? It was like an endless summer until they ended it. And it's like, yeah, but a whole summer compared to, like, a few days? Yeah, I can't really say that that's about the same thing.
See? I mean...
Not to mention, last thing I'm going to say is that Cartoon Network doesn't really tend to stick too long with its, like, I guess kind of like more dark and whimsical concepts. Because even with Adventure Time, all the dark arcs that we had throughout it were small spin-offs. They were not part of like the main show. And if they were, it was a specific part that has a beginning and end outside of that of the show. You know, so they don't dwell on that kind of stuff very long.
I see. I guess for me, like I'll admit I was actually kind of disappointed when I heard that Infinity Stream was gonna be, not that I understand it's fine that it wants to be miniseries, especially since I'd rather have a show that's like short and great rather than a show that lasts way too long and you could tell they're starting to run dry of ideas. Regular show, but yeah, no. I mean, I like most seasons of regular show, but especially toward like the last couple, especially like I'm trying to finish the last season. I could tell they're really like starting to run dry of ideas, and the idea of all the characters going into space, I honestly just find really ridiculous, to be honest. But yeah, I totally, get the idea. And also, even just from the idea of, is it possible for them to, like, I even kind of wonder how long, if Infinity Train was, like, a full-length series, how long could they go with, like, having to come up with new ideas for these cars, Because, like, if it is true and it's just going to get, if it is going to get more challenging from here, like, that means that the next idea they have to come up with, it is going to have to be something that is, better and something that's even more complex. And like I kind of realized, like you were saying, Gabby, it would probably fall apart if it got like overly complex. So,
exactly.
Although, and something that I wanted to bring up, how we mentioned that there was that one kid who got disintegrated by that tornado? Do you think that kid got disintegrated because he took too long? It's like, time's up.
That is a good question. I have no idea why. I guess it could be that, like, he was there for too long. It could be like they did something they weren't supposed to.
Ooh, that makes it even.
Now that I'm thinking about it, what about how that robot in the pilot was saying, "Go back to your seat"? What if the kid didn't go back to their seat?
It's possible.
Now the question is, how do you get back on your seat? Because you're not given a seat to begin with. So it's like, that may very well put in, or like explain a little bit the conflict that we have here in the show, but we are yet to see.
Yeah, so
it would be very interesting.
So yeah, do you think like we're gonna probably see that more often? Like, who knows, maybe Tulip might even bump into somebody, like another person who's trying to get to the camp, and then time's up for them, and they also get sucked up.
I could see that. I could see Tulip like finding more people in the carts. Them going along, though. From what it seems. It's mainly going to be her, One and Atticus.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, especially if she does come across another person, wouldn't they like join Tulip?
Yeah.
Unless
now that you mentioned it, I was talking with my boyfriend about Infinity Train a while back. And he had a good idea about that too. He was saying what if like the characters that we see that are inside the train
Mm-hmm.
are actually former campers,
Hmm.
and so
Like.
they manifest into certain characters that suit their personality.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be explaining like for example, now that I think of it, it fits in very well because even with one talking about like I'm looking for my mom, I don't remember what they look like. Somebody who got sucked in, brainwashed, and now they only have very little memory of where they used to be and who they used to be.
Ooh. So I don't know. Do you think it might be a case where you either get sucked in a tornado or you might turn into something else?
Like what I'm imagining right now is that tornado
Mm-hmm.
is the person being sucked into the game and turned into a character.
I guess I could
It's a
see
far
that.
stretch. A
Mm-hmm.
far stretch, but we can no way to find out.
Yeah.
You know.
Although, yeah, it will be interesting though because it looks like that person that got sucked by the tornado was like disintegrated. Although that might just be a case where they got sucked in. Do you think they might like spit the person back out, or they just end up,
Yeah, because here's the other thing. If you noticed, he got blocked into like little what looked like pixels,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then he went into the light, and
Yeah.
then a stream of light went down into the ground.
Oh. Hmm. I guess I could see
Got
that
it being
happening.
transferred,
So yeah.
transformed.
Mm-hmm. So would they be like just side characters, or would they be like helping out like Tulip or that sort of thing?
Well, I would imagine, depending on the card, let's say that, like with my idea, where each card represents something that the person programmed,
Mm-hmm.
they end up in the card that they programmed. If not that,
Mm-hmm.
then what they might do is if the person doesn't end up programming any of the cards, they're just sent to the card where they started their journey. So
Mm-hmm.
this person may have started their journey somewhere else, or in the same room as Tulip, which is why we found one.
Mm-hmm.
Atticus could have started their own journey in the Corgi card, so that's why they ended up there.
I see. Do you think maybe
Because
Atticus might even be like the person who, if it is a game that it may be like the programmer of that game or something like that?
it could be, yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, the counselors just basically bring kids in, telling them they're going to learn how to code games.
Mm-hmm.
Let them code their own game, and then make use of them by making them part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
That way, saving on resources.
I see. The only thing about that theory, though, is that so far we haven't seen like Tulip. Like really, I mean, we saw her like solving challenges, but we haven't like seen her like make like a game on the Infinity Train itself, or like create her own world.
Exactly. But we do know that she has her own game concept.
Yeah.
So, if not her actually programming the card, they could still see that she has her own concept for the game and say, okay, we're going to take it, we're going to turn it into one of the cards, and then you're going to be part of the card. Not to mention that we do already have kind of one aspect of game development, which is character design.
Right. Of
You know,
course.
we
Mm-hmm.
did already see her in one of the cards illustrate her two characters, the bad guy and the good guy,
Yeah.
out of
They kind of
blocks.
look like Space Invaders characters.
So as far as right now, she's already did one step of the whole game developing process,
Mm-hmm.
which is make your characters.
Mm-hmm. I see.
It's hard to tell, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but obviously, that's what's exciting about when you start a mini series
Yeah,
like
that's
this,
why
is
I'm
that
so
that's how they get to
excited.
it. So
I mean, even if it doesn't turn out to be anything like what I'm talking about, where they're going, heck, their idea may be twice as good as mine.
mm-hmm. Well, that's
So,
the element of surprise.
exactly.
So yeah. So I'm just hoping, like from my perspective, that Infinity Train does turn out to be one of those series where when I first saw it, I was like, I mean, looks interesting, but I don't know if I'll like dive headfirst into this. And by the end, it's like, whoa, this is something, really, really, crazy. So yeah, it
Oh
definitely
yeah.
shows promise. And like I was saying in that previous video, maybe it's to Infinity Train's benefit that, at least for me, I know there's a lot of people, that are like, super like hyped. Maybe it's to my benefit that I'm like just interested enough, like I have enough details to be like, at least be interested in seeing where it goes, but not so much so where it's like, oh yeah, I know where this is going. So maybe it's to the show's benefit. I know, like, I actually recently had a commenter who said, I'd rather have like this person was telling me I'd rather not have the advertising tell me, tell too much of what happened. So it's like, I mean,
Same,
maybe,
same.
that's what's going on here, and maybe that's
Because
why.
that in its own way adds hype to it because you're like, the only way you're going to be able to find out is when the show comes out and you get to watch it.
And when you see the subsequent episodes, because obviously they're not going to give you, everything on a silver platter in episode 1 or even episode 2. So,
Exactly.
yeah. So,
And also, if it's going to be something short, like Over the Garden Wall, having that level of complexity gives it rewatchability too.
mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing that I actually am really hyped for because like this looks like something I'm gonna want to go back to over and over again. I've already seen Over the Garden Wall probably 3 to 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
I own it on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
I try to find as many opportunities as I can to rewatch it because it's just like that good, and you have that all those aspects where everything is not clearly explained. So every time you watch it, something new can be realized.
Kind of like a Stanley Kubrick movie in that way.
Exactly, yeah.
I see. Okay, in that case, I could also see it being, interesting in that aspect. Another thing I wanted to bring up is I'm kind of wondering, like, going back to the whole virtual reality thing. What if it turns out, how there are some scenes where Tulip goes outside the train and she's in that desert? What if she's
Hmm.
actually not leaving the train at all? Like, what if it is set
That
in that?
that's what I'm thinking. Like somehow they make some sort of, how would you say, kind of like manipulation of space,
Mm
and what she feels like she's going a lot farther off from the train when really she's still on this train.
hmm. Mm hmm. I see. Kind of. I mean, I keep mentioning all these video games it's making me think of, but it's like, I guess it's kind of like the animus system in, the Assassin's Creed games, Gabby?
I know the Assassin's Creed
Yeah.
games. I don't know too much about them, but I have
Mm-hmm.
a
Because the
general
premise
idea.
behind like many of the games is that you actually play as like I think it's like your ancestor or something. Like I was briefly playing like the third Assassin's Creed game on the Wii U, and the way it works, it has a kind of similar like a virtual reality system called the Animus, where you have your character, that's all wired up, and he's walking around, and it looks like he's back in the Italian Renaissance or back in the early days of the formation of the United States. Like it's that sort of a world. And he's, well, in the case of Assassin's Creed, he's actually like walking around as if he is, like the ancestor from, another time. So it's just that maybe in Infinity Train's case, if it is a VR thing, maybe Tulip, isn't like playing another character per se, she's just being herself. So
Right,
yeah.
right.
So yeah, I'm very curious, to see, where that goes. I mean, that in itself, honestly, like I said, at the beginning, honestly makes me want to keep going with the series and see where it goes.
Same. I'm like, oh, I'm ready for the next episode.
Definitely.
Like,
Yeah, I'm thinking,
oh
do you think we'll be able to like cover the entire series, kind of like with what we were able to do with Star Wars: Forces of Evil, especially in its
yeah, if
third and
you were
fourth
able to
season?
do it with Star versus the Forces of Evil, I'm pretty sure we could do it with this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. So yeah, I know the first episode, you could go watch it on like the Cartoon Network website or the app for people who haven't seen it. I know that the first episode is actually going to air on the channel on August 5th. So I'm wondering, maybe it sounds like the rest of the episodes they'll come out, maybe they'll come out online around the same time. Like I don't know if they're going to like release early like what they're doing with the first episode. Do you think they might release them like a little early?
Trying to think because it's been different depending on the shows, because with Victor and Valentino,
Mm-hmm.
we got several episodes ahead of time from when they actually aired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that.
But the difference with Victor and Valentino is that it seems like something that Victor and Valentino is going to last a lot longer than Infinity Train.
Yeah, like it's meant to be more of a long-term series in comparison. So, what was I gonna say? Um, oh, no pun intended, but I think I lost my train of thought. But
No worries.
yeah, so I guess we'll just have to like see, how these episodes come out if, on top of, if they'll come out, earlier or if they're just going to come out at the same time. And like I guess would it be kind of like what Disney Channel did with Star, where like with Star they released the episode like around midnight of the day they were supposed to come out, and they would air on Disney Channel at like whatever time, like 7-8 o'clock.
Oh
The
yeah,
morning.
I could
So
see that happening.
yeah, like I know what I was about to say. Like I kind of felt they released the first episode early for Infinity Train because there was so much hype. Like it's easily one of the most hyped Cartoon Network shows to come out along next to like Steven Universe and Adventure Time at this point.
Yeah.
Especially I keep pointing this out, especially since we're coming out of the the era where we were like, we don't like Teen Titans Go or Powerpuff Girls 2016. So in comparison to that, this is something that's much more
Oh well, yeah,
anticipated.
but I mean, I'm pretty sure they're going to be giving Teen Titans Go the same treatment just because of how many kids watch it.
Yeah, I see. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did you have any more to say? Yeah, because I think I personally
Mm,
tapped out.
I think the only other thing I'm realizing is like, as far as like releasing episodes,
Mm-hmm.
even something like Steven Universe, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly, the episode would come out later on the app than when it would actually air
TV.
on. Yeah, like it would appear like the next morning or midnight of that showing.
Hmm.
So yeah, Cartoon Network seems to be like a little all over the place as far as like how they're releasing stuff.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I guess Christina Miller is not out of the woods just yet. So, or I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, I don't want to. I don't want to turn this stream into like a Cartoon Network exec hating show. I leave that to, Johnson
Like,
Hood Daypool.
come on, guys, we're all human. Nobody's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine.
But
I
yeah.
know we used to make jokes about it here before, but to be honest, it's like they're just people. But let's not vent out our anger over children's animated TV shows on some poor people who are just trying to manage an entire company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually trying to look up if that guy Vishnu Afria, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I remember like me and Johnson O'Deepool, like he used to start up this thing where every time he would mention it, he would say thank you, come.
You think you come again?
Like not to sound racist or anything, but a lot of people like blamed, like got angry at Vishnu because there was a time where there was like I know there was a couple instances where like Cartoon Network would like mass marathon Teen Titans Go, like
Yes,
and
and I was so upset because that was around the time that I'd finally gotten cable back in my room.
mm,
So I'm like, yay, now I can watch a whole bunch of Cartoon Network in my room. What are they going to be showing now? Teen Titans Go 24/7. Oh, dear Lord. Help me.
yeah. So I don't know. I just hope that I mean, selfishly, I kind of hope that like the Cartoon Network releases, Infinity Train episodes, maybe not as early like what they're doing with this first episode, but like at least kind of do what Disney Channel did with Star. I
I think
mean,
that's more than reasonable. I
yeah.
think I think they're just trying things out,
Mhm.
honestly. So they're trying to see what works better.
Mhm.
And it's fine.
Yeah. If I
I mean,
follow,
you don't even have to log in to watch the Infinity Train episode at the moment,
yeah,
right?
no, you basically just have to go to. I think it was like the video section of the Infinity Train page, and there you go. First episode, all yours
Right
to
there.
watch. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You think if I actually follow Vishnu on LinkedIn, he'll follow me back, or is he gonna be like, "Oh yeah, you're that guy who shat on me
Who keeps
on
making
YouTube"?
jokes about me?
Yeah. So it's like
Thank
me.
you.
Yeah. It's like so. Yeah. So I don't know if like me and Johnson and Dapel are like permanently blacklisted by him, but it's just like oh the memories. I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't usually do videos like that anymore. I basically just focus more on the shows
And,
because like I
and
don't.
it's a manifestation of the environment. It's like kind of like that there was a lot of, how should I say, angst over the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously stuff like that is going to come out. You know,
Yeah.
no harm done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, so I guess we've went through like I feel like I went for as much as I could regarding this first episode of Infinity Train. So
Same, but there was still a lot to talk about.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said before, I still don't think I went from being like sort of intrigued to being like as hyped as everybody else. I'm still kind of in that camp of like, I'm interested enough to see what happens next, and I really hope, they're gonna pull off some really amazing things.
I'm just excited to see what happens next.
Yep, same here. So yeah, but I think, as you said in the beginning of the stream, the key word is that, this episode generates a lot of, curiosity. So yeah, I'm very interested to see. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to stay around at your party tomorrow, Gabby, because like I'm actually heading off to do you know this place called Cambria, upstate? It's near
I think I have heard of it,
yeah, it's
yeah.
near San Luis Obispo. Like, so I'm heading off, and also tomorrow is my mom's birthday. So, mhm,
Yay, happy birthday!
mhm, yeah, I'll be sure to like tell my mom you said that. But yeah, I'll be dropping. Me and Steven will be dropping by very briefly, to come by. So,
Yay!
mhm,
I get to say hi! Woo!
mhm. So I don't know. Like, are your friends like excited to see? Have some of them actually seen the first episode?
I don't think so. I don't think they have. I'm not sure that they were even aware that Cartoon Network put it on the app. I wasn't even aware until you told me.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, I was just like, wait, what? What?
Mhm. So yeah.
Otherwise, I would have been like, guys, we're watching Infinity Train for my birthday.
Mhm. Well, I don't know. I haven't been following your group chat too closely. Like, are your friends excited? Like, how excited are they
Oh,
to?
yeah, I did a poll just to see like how many people were hyped and were actually down to watch the episode.
Uh huh.
I have like probably around 20, maybe even more people on the chat, and
Mhm.
13, 14 more or less were just like, yeah,
Mhm.
and there were just absolutely no people saying they weren't interested. So I'm like, well,
Mhm. So
it looks pretty
there's
good
some
then.
level of they're at least interested in seeing the
Oh, it's
series.
more than just some level, man. There's
Mhm.
like no disinterest whatsoever.
Mhm. I
So
see.
I'm just like, yes, I'm with the right kind of people.
Mhm. All right, so I think we'll end it off here. I'll let you get back to doing any setup you were going to do, Gabby.
I'm done. That's pretty
Oh,
much why I was able to sit down and watch the episode.
okay. So yeah, but I think we're gonna end it off here. So for the people watching, if you have any thoughts on this very first episode, please since the chat's gonna end, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And we hope that you join us for the future episodes of this series. So we're gonna try to see if we can do these live chats. I don't know, like didn't they say they're gonna release like 2 episodes every day for like over the course of a week?
Oh Lord.
Let me actually see because I know that
That sounds about right, actually. Yeah, because that's what they did That's what they did with Over the Garden Wall, because it was 10 episodes, so 2 episodes each day. That's 5 days.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'll have to see the release schedule since like I'll be watching them digitally, so I don't know if it'll just be a case where I'll be watching them in the app or I have to go get them through
Yeah,
iTunes.
that's the other thing too, because you would figure that they would put the first 2 episodes if that's what they were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Though what it could be is, in order to not give it all away, they only give out half of what they're going to be releasing on the day of airing.
Yeah.
So that way you still need to tune in the day of to see what happens. That's genius.
Yeah, 5-night special event starting August 5th.
Yep.
And let me see, because I know when Cartoon Network first made that announcement, a whole bunch of, and I'm not blaming them, I also got kind of confused too, a whole bunch of news outlets were thinking, oh, this is for the first season, this is for the first batch of episodes, and then Owen Dennis, the creator, came out and said, no, this is a mini-series just like Over the Garden Wall.
Exactly, just like Over the Garden Wall, which was 10 episodes in 5 days as well.
So, let me actually...
Wait, have you seen Over the Garden Wall, Bobby?
I haven't, but I know the series is on Hulu. What?
Boy. Where is it?
You're...
Okay, if you guys want to take a look, I mean, since I'm on my phone today, which I typically am not, I'm typically on my tablet, I have a plethora of Cartoon Network DVDs here. Including
Over the Garden Wall. Is that the entire series?
Yes, because it's 10 episodes. It's less than your typical movie, actually. So it's very convenient. Oh yeah. Oh, hello. Hello there. You.
So. Yep.
But hold on there a sec. Let me get back on camera. Oops! What is that? Ew, there I am.
You gotta switch the camera back.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Sorry,
but,
I
yeah,
accidentally
I'll
clicked
see,
something.
But yeah,
but,
I'll see.
What was I gonna say? Fun fact. That is actually what got me interested in Western animation out of nowhere again.
Huh. Like, it's what got you back? Because I know you watched, like, Western shows when you were a kid, right?
Oh, yeah, but, starting around middle school and then going, well into high school, I veered heavily towards anime, like Japanese anime. And then, you know, I was just kind of, like, sort of into movies since that's what I was studying in college, but out of nowhere I was with my friend Danny and my friend Jelly. I call her Jelly, her name's Angelina, and we came across Over the Garden Wall on YouTube, no less, I think. And we started watching it together, and they almost had to leave, both of them, so they didn't stay for very long, but I was so hooked on the mini-series that by the time they were both back at home and messaging me, I had nearly finished the entire thing.
Wow.
So I really liked it. I really, really liked it. I did not stop. I'm like, I'm going to finish this. This is so good. Oh, my God. And then I found out they had it on DVD, so I'm like, oh. And that's when my friend Danny, after she saw how well I enjoyed Over the Garden Wall, she's like, oh, hey, Gabby, I have this other thing you might like. It's called Steven Universe. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. Yeah. Garnet is well aware. Yeah, I just happen to have. This is the only Steven Universe figurine I have.
I had that one too. Yeah. I think I had that same exact Garnet.
Oh, really? It's very difficult to make stand, though. I'll fix it.
Yeah, with the little thingies. Yeah.
But
okay. I had two, and then one of them lost its stand, so I'm like, Rest in peace.
Yeah, but anyway, I'll see if I can make time to see Over the Garden Wall. I'm kind of hoping it's the kind of thing, kind of like how, you know how after I started watching Star, I was like, oh, okay, Disney's getting good again. What else did they have? And then I think you and Steven started showing me Gravity Falls. So
Oh
I'm
yeah,
kind of
if you
hoping it's
liked
gonna be.
Gravity Falls,
Mm-hmm.
it's well around that area of Gravity Falls. Like, less action-packed, more whimsical, a little slower in pace, but I think it's just up your alley in that sense.
I see. I see.
Yeah, it's like a fairy book tale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. And it has Tim Curry, and my heart, it just scrunches up every time I hear him.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you guys didn't know, for anybody who is a big Tim Curry fan, he's doing a lot better now, from what I hear. But right around the time that he was doing recordings for Over the Garden Wall, he had just been getting over a stroke.
Ooh.
So you hear the recordings for his character, and you're just like, he was in so much pain. Why? But he still did it, and that's why I respect that man. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I
So
love
yeah,
Tim Curry,
I'll
guys.
certainly be looking out for like Tim Curry,
Oh,
because
and
like,
Christopher Lloyd is in there too,
okay, that's cool.
and Frodo's in there. I don't remember. Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. Mm-hmm.
Elijah Wood is in here. He's the main. He's one of two main characters.
Okay, that sounds cool. So,
he's the guy with the gnome hat that you see on the picture. That's Elijah Wood's character.
I see. So yeah, wow, they certainly got big names to be in the show.
Yeah, those are only some of them. I'm pretty sure they have other ones in there too, but I don't remember. Those are the main three I remember, because I love Christopher Lloyd.
Same
I
here.
love Tim Curry. Like, I love Tim Curry. And I mean, who doesn't like hobbits? Hobbits are cool. Right. I identify as a hobbit.
So, but yeah, I'll see if I can watch Over the Garden Wall, like, when Infinity Train, gets done. Because I think right now Infinity Train is probably going to be more of my focus.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, literally, if you sit down, like, if you have enough time to watch a movie, you have enough time to watch that. Like, it's that quick. It's nothing. Like, you'll breeze through it.
I see. So
again, 11 minutes, 10 episodes. That's only like
110
minutes. A little over 2 hours.
But okay, so basically like the length of a feature-length movie, if you will.
Yeah, more or less. Maybe like a little less.
But
like
don't get me wrong. I'm interested myself. So yeah.
Wait, let me think. Let me try to make the math.
Because it is, right? 11 times 10, that's 110.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Just like shy of 2 hours. 10 minutes shy of 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'll definitely, I'll check it out. So.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's really good. I might even be showing it tomorrow. Because, I mean, if we just watch Infinity Train, that's not going to be very much.
Yeah, no, that's only like 11 minutes.
Yeah, so I can come up with like a few other things to like put on, and I definitely think Over the Garden Wall is going to be a good pick in that sense. So we'll see what happens.
We'll definitely see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we'll end it off here. Once again, since the stream, this time for sure it's gonna end soon. You'll if you guys have anything to say about Infinity Train, any theories, we'd really like to hear them. Please leave them in the comments.
Please let us know.
So yeah, so I guess we'll leave it off here, and I have let me actually ask one more person if she liked Infinity Train.
Miga, what did you think? Miga.
Yeah, my sis basically turned Miga into this, like, Miga, one of the mascots for the Vancouver Olympics. She basically made her go from being this like happy-go-lucky, fun-loving bear into this really derpy and just kind of jerky sort of bear.
Just like really grumpy, just like give me waffles and syrup and leave me alone.
Which, yeah, basically, I don't know why. My sis just made her into, like, well, Vancouver, so, mascot from Canada, into this grumpy maple syrup addict that crashes into people when she snowboards. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the International Olympic Committee is gonna be like all happy. He's like, we turned your.
They're gonna be like, we're gonna stick with our own character idea. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you could go off and do all that DeviantArt stuff, but yeah.
But yeah, no, we're sticking with this one.
Yeah. Okay, so people